Okay, guys, midweek, February 19th, 2024, we got the PCMR for the midweek edition. So we're going to talk about some of the errors, varieties, finds that you guys are encountering out there. A lot of folks are using eBay. That's the platform that we normally go off of when we're pulling market data from the last couple days. This is the platform that everybody's using to resell some of these coins. There are even folks that are even making this as part of their weekly income. You know, they sell on the platform, they go out in the wild, coin shops, shows. There's a lot of shows going on right now. A lot of people are hunting for 2025 coins, so all in this kind of bracket of ways that you could obtain some of these coins. There's just a lot of things that are being found right now, and we're going to talk about them about as greatest of lengths and depth as you could possibly imagine, so that way you guys know what to look for when you're out there hunting through some like bankrolls or inventory from a coin shop. You might be able to cherry pick some of these coins. Like usual, we focus on coins that are not graded. Grading means that you have to spend a certain amount of money to get these things encapsulated, and it doesn't necessarily enhance the value of the coins. So the cool thing about mint errors and die varieties is that they speak for themselves. They certainly don't need that encapsulated holder, and that people that buy into them are truly genuine diehard collectors of those particular types of coins. So there's a very wide, deep pull collector base of those types. Nothing that I personally have had any issues selling before, so that way you guys know that you can certainly have the same amount of success that I have selling on the platform for the right type of coins. So we're going to look at these here momentarily. Quick little shout out to Whatnot I saw on this platform to help enhance my other sales on eBay or online, social media, things like that. Whatnot is one of the fastest growing live social media auction platforms today. They are by far the biggest and most noteworthy. And I love the platform. I love selling for them. And it makes the process entirely easy. I wanted to address one thing, though. There's been a few people that say that there's a lot of scams happening on Whatnot. And, quite frankly, you can find scams all over the place, whether it's eBay, selling locally. There are coin shops that, can do the scammy thing too. It's a widespread thing. And through it all, education is going to be the absolute most important thing. Using common sense. If something looks like it's too good to be true, or if something is kind of like feeling a little off to you, then don't buy from that individual. The cool thing about selling on this platform is that they have a wide customer support for not only sellers but buyers as well. If you're having issues, there's a lot of people that you could talk to, and they're generally very easy to get a hold of. So I wanted to let you guys know that there's been a few people that just couldn't help themselves. Maybe they don't buy or sell on the platform, but they just wanted to talk shit. That's fine. You go do you, boo. I don't have issues, but maybe you do for whatever reason. But I personally invite you guys. We do shows every Friday for Blue Ridge Silverhound, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have a QR code. If you haven't joined before, you sign up under me. You get $15 off your first item, whatever that may be, whether it's from me or one of the other sellers on the platform. All right, so there you go. That's my little notification there. We're going to just dive right in with probably one of the coolest pieces I've seen in a while. This is a full 1976 BEP star pack of $2 bills. All in living color. My goodness, I wish I would have the means to afford something like this, because 1976 is the first year of the green ink Federal Reserve note $2 bills with that epic reverse design on there. It's really cool. This is not something that you come across too often, maybe a few times a year, and this one is in one of those really cool, heavy, thick cases that are made and tailored for a bank strap of notes. Star notes all in here. Nice lower serial number run as well. 5-digit, not too bad. Here's a little side by side of a few of the notes from the serial number 101 all the way up to 200. So that's all 100 notes in there. Or at least the first and last note in in this particular pack. And here's some of the reverse images, looking very crispy, very, very, very cool. And obviously the price tag wasn't going to be that low. If you did have something like this, whether it's a Star Note pack or not, even the Star Note or the non-Star Note packs from 1976 are highly desired, and oftentimes they'll go for $500 to $800 per strap. This particular one sold for $1,988, and some of you are going to say, "Well, that seems like it's a lot." Well, we're talking about something that's like almost 50 years old. So, when you put it into that kind of perspective on something that generally was not saved at the time, in a full pack form, then you're going to have some pretty good scarcity here. And that's why things like this, many years later on down the road, is worth so much money. You kind of have to take a look and see, what the landscape looks like today and how you can take advantage of that. Like, for example, we've talked about it. Star Note production is done officially because of the implementation at the BEP of the non-sequential LEPE press, LEPI press is what they call it, where they don't need to do Star Notes anymore. All right, it's just not a necessity. They're going to save themselves a whole lot more money, as far as the production and the hours that go to the employees to do such work. They don't need to do that anymore because of these new machinery. So, if you look at some of the newer outgoing like 2021 Star Note packs, those are kind of a really good investment because they're the last Star Note packs that were going to be produced. So look at those. Think about kind of what the future holds for those in like, say, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. People will get nostalgic over Star Notes. I know I will. I'm already starting to buy some. And, there's just not nearly enough supply out there to fulfill demand. Something to keep in mind. All right, so we have a nice, healthy mix of coins and a few pieces of paper money. The paper money is like banging this week. 1970D Lincoln Memorial Set. This one was struck out of collar, off center by about, looks like 65%. Very attractive coin. These are, as you know, are collected by date. There are a number of people out there that are collecting like maybe a full decade's worth of these coins, whether it's just by date or by also mint-mark as well. This one right here, I'm not going to say is like too terribly tough, but it can be. There have been times where a 70D just doesn't pop up on eBay that often. This particular example sold for what I feel like is a really ambitious amount of money, $85.99. However, much kudos to the seller. They threw this coin out. They did dynamic, beautiful, crisp images. They threw out a buy it now price that they want and they feel like it's worth. And then someone came in, saw it, liked what they saw, and bought it. And sometimes it's just as easy as that. We got to keep in mind the people out there that collect these ultimately dictate the pricing on these because in a way, mint errors are quite unique from one to the other. Another 1970D off-center struck Lincoln set might look a little bit different than this one, and oftentimes they are. They're not all the same, and that's something, again, that you have to take into consideration. Just that every single piece is like a fingerprint. They're unique in their own way. The next one that we have here is one that is no stranger to the PCMR, especially within the last 3-4 years. It's our good old 2021 P-minted Washington crossing the Delaware Quarter. This is a one-year shot design. After the conclusion of the America the Beautiful series, they needed kind of like a filler coin to kind of close in the gap between that program and the American Women program. So this one right here, one of my favorite designs, by the way. If you did enough hunting, you guys know that there's some die chips and various other mint areas you can find on these. This one has that big old crown die chip right atop Washington's hat that we all know and love. And, at one point, they used to sell for a couple $100. This one right here is pretty well worn and beat up in itself. But, hey, have no fear. It's still worth something. This one sold for $40 and a penny. So, case in point, still some value, still some desirability. If you have it, list it. If you don't have that need in your collection. And another favorite of mine, I've found a few of these over the years. I actually found one out of a vending machine. So this will give you guys a little bit of kind of insight as to where you could find these. 2000p, and it's only on this date. Sacagawea $1. This is called the Wounded Eagle variety. It's the FS901. It's a premier cherry picker's guide variety. And you can see that little red circle there on the reverse of what we're looking at here, but a little bit of a close-up certainly helps. These have the raised die gouges. So on the dies themselves, maybe a tool was dropped on the die face to create this, because what you see here is actually raised off the coin. It's not indented into the coin as if it was damaged. So there's generally a pair of these die gouges, one really long one that goes through the breast feathers of the eagle, and a much shorter one just to the left of that that's only on the wing. Again, the coin, nothing really to write home to mother about as far as condition goes, but after hearing the sale price, you guys will know that these things will have liquidity if you wanted to sell it. This particular one sold for $75.98. Proof is in the pudding that, the value is there. These things aren't particularly cheap either. I've seen them go down as far as like $45-$50, but those coins are in really rough shape. Next one that we have here, another staple in the variety community, 1995 doubled die obverse Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is the FS101, by the way, a pretty big one here. One of the biggest coins of its time. Yeah, probably did sell for a lot more money, a couple $200 or $300. Most dealers were paying for these up until they found out that, the Mint produced a ton of them. So they're not particularly rare. If you want to go out there and get one, you can, and not spend, kind of like your life savings to own one. What are we looking at here on this one? Is the pretty strong doubling in Liberty and the motto "In God We Trust." So these are kind of like the two main focal points of the coin. For every 95p that you find, make sure you look at these two areas. And don't overlook this. There should be no reason why you overlook this variety. It's that strong. So this particular one is in pretty good shape. A little bit, lots of mint red, a little bit of wear on there. But how about $83.90? This one was a buy it now scoop. Someone just decided, I don't want to deal with the whole auction bit, because there were a few available for bidding. They just went and bought this one, and it's going to fit their need and their collection. 1989 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is a Philadelphia minted coin with a nice sized die break, what we call a cud die break over there at the 9 to 10 o'clock position on the front of the coin, which, on the die, due to wear and tear, a piece of the die had cracked and fallen out. And any subsequent coins that were produced thereafter produced these raised blob anomalies that usually start at the rim and go into the design details. And that's how a cut is formed. This one is pretty nice. It's not the biggest cut I've seen, but it is pretty notable on this one. Sold for $47.20 with a pair of bids. The pricing and the consistency of the values of these things are off the charts. It's just amazing that after many years, these coins still very desirable, and the prices, they maintain these nice lofty premiums for what they are, which is really nice. Brian Rybar had a few really nice dime varieties. How about this 46D over D repunchment mark Roosevelt dime on a beautiful BU example? And this one here is RPM number 15, FS502. So the FS502 denotes a Cherry Picker's Guide variety type, which is huge. That's just going to make the coin a lot more desirable because people do care about what can be found out there that comes from the Cherry Picker's Guide. And yeah, this is one that you certainly cannot miss. If you have a nice magnifier, you'll know that you can find the RPMs and doubled dies. This one showing a really nice secondary Denver mint mark punch north of the primary, and maybe slightly tilted there a little bit. Brian does always a great job with the images, with the arrows, and all that great stuff. So rest assured, when you buy from Brian, you're buying quality. This one right here, buy it now scoop with shipping for $33.90. He also had this one here too, and he had a bunch of other listings as well. 1951 D over D. This is another repunch mint mark variety. It's RPM number 1 and FS501 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. It's also showing nice little machine doubling there on Roosevelt's face. And this one right here, you can see that the secondary Denver mint mark punch north of the primary here on this one. And again, a very nice premium quality coin. Sold for $34.95. Again, another buy it now list. Brian does a lot of buy it now stuff. And he's had quite a bit of success because he offers premium coins. He's one of the major attributors of Jefferson Nichols. So that kind of helps put his name out there. But overall, he has some incredible coins and he does the best photographic images. He's certainly one that if you're going to, kind of copy off of as far as like presentation, this is the man right here. Nothing too crazy. 1930 Lincoln Memorial Cent looks pretty rough, but the roughness on this one is actually lamination. That's all it is. Some impurities in the alloy mix causing kind of like this flakiness to the coin, and you can see it quite a bit on the reverse of this one. So you wouldn't think this one would be worth a lot of money. I've generally thrown, coins like these back before. However, $21.25 would say otherwise. In the future, I am not tossing these back anymore. They have inherent value. Again, the pictures are going to be paramount to the success of selling these, because if you could really show nice, just crispy details of the surface and showing that lamination in full force, you're going to do okay. You'll end up selling these. You might sit on them for a little while, but with laminations and how they're performing these days, I certainly wouldn't leave it to chance. I would throw every single one I have out there on eBay and just try and sell them, So we also have this one here too. This is a Civil War token. MS Brown, 1863. Most of the Civil War store cards are dated 1863. There are a few probably dated maybe 1864. But this one right here, as you can tell, has a nice shattered die. I guess obverse does have a huge cut die break right there at 7 to 8 o'clock on the coin. And I want to let you guys know, because these were crudely made, this is nothing too out of the ordinary. We generally find, things happen like this. And a lot of the die sinkers and all that, they tend to just ride these dies to death on Civil War tokens and store cards. So if you do come across them, sure, they might have a little bit of a premium, but overall it's going to be the collectability and rarity of the merchant and the city and state. So MS Brown, I would assume, probably either did like maybe a general store, Notions, probably operated, and sold like old iron stoves or, things of that nature, maybe some medicine. There's a few very common types of businesses that were very well represented within the Civil War token community. So this one right here, it's always good to see a coin like this pop up. $91.95, 25 bids. This one is actually sold by renowned Civil War token and exonumia expert Steve Hayden. I actually follow him, and I get his newsletter in my email weekly. He's one of the top notch token gurus out there, and you would be hard pressed to find anyone else that would treat you as good as Steve. He's good people and offers some of the rarities that a lot of people do want out in this particular segment of numismatics. Pretty neat one here, 1981 $20 bill with a partial back to front wet ink transfer. Pretty obvious there. You can see that green printed over on the main design of the front of the note, which is simply just a transfer of the design in ink from the impression cylinder to the front of the note after everything's been printed. So yeah, I mean, this one's pretty cool. People typically want more coverage of a wet ink transfer and not so much a partial, but collectors will still take this to some degree. This one sold for quite a surprising amount of money for it being a partial. $137.29, 26 bids. There's a little bit of the reverse image showing some circulation wear. It's not too crazy. It's still very collectible type of grade. We have a pair of what we call improper alloy mixes. Another term for this is woody. And we have a 1941 here with kind of like a nice, very light wood graining on both sides of the coin. Where these things are most desired is where you have the wood graining pattern on both sides of the coin. And they can be a little bit different as far as what they look like. But to collectors, it means much more when that pattern is being shown on both sides. Improper alloy mix, real simple. Back in the day, the mint, when they were prepping, for the planchets, they would add just a very small amount of tin or zinc to the copper as kind of like a binding agent, and it didn't do a very good job. So when it didn't mix too well, this is your end result right here. Kind of this very pretty looking wood graining, or, on some coins, they look like tiger stripes, which is quite neat. But 5 years ago, these things, you could sell these for $1. These days, because of how wide and diverse collecting is, now all of a sudden, people are seeing the artistic nature of wood graining, and a lot more people are getting into it, because it's still a relatively affordable segment of collecting. This particular one, by the way, sold for $15.99. Again, it's not going to blow you away. You can't retire off of it, but it's the little things that do count. They all go into the same bucket. So you take your small sales with your big ones, and then, just collect all the profit together, because, at the end of the day, I'm willing to bet that a fair amount of you probably only pay 25 cents to maybe 50 cents for this coin. Or if you're an avid wheat cent searcher, you probably ended up paying just 5 cents for the thing if you did that in bulk. And the same seller had this one here as well. This one's really crazy. A lot of that tin or zinc really settled to the surface of this one. And you can see it on both sides. It's just a lot lighter on the obverse of the coin. Same date, and a little bit more of a premium here at $19.99. Very attractive. Again, the more wild they are, the more that typically they will sell for. And also dates do matter. There are much more tougher dates, from like the teens and 20s that really do matter here with wood graining. And that will inherently make a huge difference in the values. I've seen these things go for like $100, $200, $300, some of the much more scarce dates with some of the craziest patterns on there. Really nice off-center strike here too, with a little bit of color. 1964 Philadelphia Minted Lincoln Memorial Cent. Much like that 70D we looked at earlier, this thing is about 65% off center. Quite attractive, and another big time sale here at $83.58. We've seen coins like this sell for less than half of what this one sold for. So again, these days you can kind of call your shot on values. If they're very attractive and you think that they should command a little bit more of a premium, this one I could see why, because of the The oxidation and toning really do lend itself very well for this particular piece, and that's why the overall price was justified here. Here's a Lincoln Memorial Cent. Can't tell the date. Very well struck on the reverse, but that front, non-existent. And that's because this one was struck through a capped eye. A little bit later stage, not too late of a stage, because you don't have a lot of the details punched through on this one. But essentially, there was a coin stuck to the die face, what I presume to be the hammer die, which is the die that has Lincoln's design on there. It was striking up other coins. So when that coin is blocked up on the die, it's not going to strike up any design details unless it becomes very thin and a very late stage. So these are very desired, as you would expect. This one sold for $35. All right, and that seems to be the normal going rate, kind of like CUD die breaks. They're very consistent. They're very reliable on the secondary market, and they're very easy to sell. All right, I saw this one. I about fell off my bar stool. 1982S Proof Jefferson Nickel. Man, crazy what you can find in a proof set with enough diligent looking. But on the reverse, that's a strike through right there at 3 o'clock. And then you had some of this mint grease kind of expanded there. And that's what that gray section is on the reverse there. But yeah, it struck through grease and debris and all that great stuff. A very hardened blob of grease, I would presume, is what was here. You don't see mint errors to this magnitude on proof coins. Proof coins, in a sense, was some of the highest quality product that a mint can produce. Very early on, a lot of them were white gloved. They used kid gloves to put these in the proof set encasements and things like that. So, we want to believe that, some of the best coins come out of proof sets. But because we are living in a world where the production of our money is handled by human beings that still make mistakes, there are things like these that tend to escape. And it's just going to take some looking for to identify what's out there. So this one sold for $45.95. Probably could have sold for a little bit more. It was a buy it now hit, so maybe because they didn't find one like it, that they just didn't really know where to start this thing. But I'm willing to bet it sold immediately. Next one up, piece of paper with a little misaligned print on the front of this one, $1985 bill. Quite minor, nothing too crazy. You can see that top margin's non-existent. You can see a sliver of the next note at the bottom. The back of the note is actually quite centered. A little bit of some glue foreign substance there on the right side margin. So not the perfect note, but it did sell for $41.33 with a trio of bids. 1866 Shield Nickel with rays. I mean, pretty cool, but I want to let you guys know, these shattered die shield nickels, you see all the cracks and die cracks and, things like that. You can find them actually on both sides of the coin pretty easily. This one even also has a retained cud there at 3 o'clock. These are quite common, so I wouldn't say to terribly overpay, but if you need one as a type coin, you could do that. And if you're one kind of like cherry picking and hunting these, you should most certainly be more on the lookout for the repunch dates and the doubled dies that exist on these. They're quite plentiful for varieties, but even more so plentiful for the terminal die effects that you see on these. This one here, nice coin, I'm not hating on it. It's a very nice problem-free example, probably like a VF 30-ish type coin, sold for $103.99. So that's pretty good. The shield nickels with the raise reverse typically hold a little bit more of a premium, just due in part that it's kind of like a 2-year type. 1866 and 67 had the raise reverse. 67 was a transition year, so you could find them without the reverse raise as well. And I got another one of these popped up, ungraded. I would say that any candy half dollar or larger denomination coin that is struck off center to this magnitude, oftentimes folks do grade these. And that, I'm kind of like leaning on the side that that's a wise move because they're very scarce. 1983p. We've seen this date before in off center, and we have another one right here. So this one sold for $164.46. Yes, that is the money for these. So if you do come across them and some dealers like selling it and blowing them out for like 40, $50, dudettes, sweep in, grab these at like the fastest, breakneck speed as you can, because you will do very well on these. These things do not sell for under a C note. And when you do come across them, I found one at a coin dealer table, and it was, I believe, a 1977 P candy half dollar that was like more broad struck than off center. And, I picked that thing up for $25, turned around and sold it to another dealer who specialized in mint errors. I kind of did the work for him, and he bought it off me for a C note. So, and this was like 6 years ago. Which is a really great feeling. You could do that at a show very easily if you know your dealers, and who's in attendance. That always makes a ton of difference when you're trying to kind of like work the system. This one right here, pretty easy to spot. 1882S Morgan silver dollar with a pretty hefty strike through right on Lady Liberty's hair. So if you look at her ear and then you go down, you could see actually that swath of strike through going through all of that hair. And I mean, what else is there to say? These larger silver coins, look out for all sorts of great things. Strike throughs seem to be one of the easier things to look for on like Morgan and Peace dollars. And I blow the doors off of those every time I find them and then sell them, and they do very well. This one right here did very, very well, selling for $468. 82S, it's a semi-okay, tougher date. 83S is where it's at, of course, as you guys know. But I think the mint errors on San Francisco minted Morgans are much more scarce compared to Philadelphia coins, which I found just a stupid number of out there, from defective planchets to strike throughs, lamination, you name it. I found them all. And people are encountering some major issues with the quality of the new 2025 Silver Eagles. Namely, little strike throughs like this one. If you look on the reverse there, right at the U in United, that's a strike through. Yeah, which could be best described as, a metallic fragment or maybe some grease and other stuff involved. Yeah, I mean, it just blows my mind how many 2025 strike throughs I have found so far since the release of these. It's amazing. So be on the lookout for these. They certainly do enhance the value of a regular Silver Eagle, which today's market's like $38 because there's like a $5 premium on them. This one here sold for $104.98. Voila. Mid errors make difference on anything, even good old silver bullion. 1935E, $1 silver certificate. Just a really well-worn, well-loved example. Nothing too crazy on the front. No mismatched serial numbers, no out-of-line print. It's slightly off-center, but nothing too crazy. But boy, the reverse is off-center. Look at that. So again, a misaligned sheet issue here, especially when you can see a fair amount of the next subsequent note up top there. This one sold for $87 off of 17 bids on this one. Okay, a couple more left. Just a really nice, pleasing 1864 Indian head cent. This is the L on ribbon, a very popular type for the date. Can't really tell if this thing's been cleaned or not, but it does have a nice, what looks to be a die crack that's going through the 6 of the date. And it actually, this is that die crack that you can actually follow up and through Liberty all the way to the very top. It's a bisecting die crack. You can actually see a very deep like die chip right under Lady Liberty's ear. So that's part of that crack that goes all the way up. You can actually see it go through the E in Liberty, up through the feathers, and then just kind of like faintly going up to the top at the 12 o'clock position. Very well known one. I found a few of these myself, but the entrance in getting an 1864 L on ribbon coin is, quite pricey. It's not something that you could just wham bam, pick it up for $5 and you're good. You're going to spend, a certain amount of money on these. This one right here sold for $279.95. The allure is the L on ribbon and probably a few other things as well. The die crack certainly helps its cause too. $1974 bill. Holy crap. Way misaligned overprint Batman. You've heard me say that before. I said it probably like 2 PCMRs ago. But there you go. Yeah, that overprint is like way misaligned to the right there. This one sold for $279.99. Another big time sale. Buy it now. Hit for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You can even actually see a partial little 9 there on that left margin there from the other, what is supposed to be next note. So it did get cut off there. And there's a reverse. Not the perfect note. This thing has passed through many hands, which is crazy because someone, probably would look at the front of the note if they had a moment and just kind of figured that something wacky was off with that thing. Yeah, me personally, if I wasn't collecting into the hobby, I would have noticed that myself. And the last thing actually is a group of bankrolls. Bankrolls have been a hot topic right now, with everybody talking about, is the Lincoln Cent officially done because of the Trump executive order, or is it still live? Can they still produce these? So there's been a lot of spec talk and a lot of FOMO kind of like diamond handsy type of things happening. And it's affecting all sealed bank rolls of Lincoln Cents. This is a group of 30 $15 face 2023 Philadelphia Lincoln Shield Cents. This is the one date where you can find the VDB Extra V variety. So that's the seller did mention that as kind of like a big seller point for this lot here. But this is $15 face that eventually ended up selling for $88.88 on eBay. And that's kind of like the wacky craziness that's going on. That's, what is that? 2, 4, 5, over 5 times face value. Okay, man, what a time to be alive where you could do that. If you guys have access to a bank that still has BU rolls of like 2022, 23, 24, and maybe 25 if you're lucky. Big money right now. Turn and burn, baby. Buy it up and then sell it to the people that are again growing nostalgic for the Lincoln Cent after that major announcement a few weeks ago. So I mean, that's gonna go ahead and do it for this one, guys. Information provided is for educational use only. Not financial advice. Please collect and or grade your coins responsibly. And I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. It was a pleasure. You guys are wonderful. And I know a number of you are having fun in the hunt. And that's what we should be doing, is just having fun. Enjoy the hobby as much as everybody else is. I'm having fun with the hobby, and that's important. And you guys are having fun, and then we're just all having fun. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell. You know what it does. I'll see you guys later. Happy hunting, and I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.